Alrighty, so for those of you that wonder where has been the review for the World Cup games for the past couple of days, including the one between the US versus Wales, well, that's because yesterday I had a very bad flu in a way where it actually got up to about 103 degrees, and that there was absolutely no way I could have done a review. I was just absolutely hammered, and that I'm actually kind of surprised I was able to recover that in a day. I mean, it looked like I was fearing that I might have got caught up that virus, that you know what it is, but thankfully I did get tested and it looked like I tested negative for that you know what virus, and that I was able to kind of catch up in terms of all the game that I missed, because yesterday I wasn't able to watch any of the World Cup game because I was just so tired. Well, actually, I did watch a little bit of this game between the US versus Wales. I mean, I did watch like the last 20 minutes after I wake up a little bit from my sleep. And well, it turns out that I definitely did not watch the good part of where the US played against Wales, because I actually going to do a single video about this one. And originally I was going to include this into my review, but I think from now on, I'm just going to make individual review whenever the U.S. men's national team is going to involve. And also, I will be doing the reviews of the other games. Most likely, I'm going to do tomorrow because I need to, of course, still need to rest up because I've just recently recovered from flu, even though, well, actually, I say I recovered from flu. I technically still has a little bit of it, and you can probably even tell from my voice, I'm still feeling a little bit sick from it. But you know, I'll definitely be reviewing some of those games. And one thing I will tell you about some of these games that we see in the World Cup, man, it has been very long in terms of the length of these games, and also some shockers that we saw in one of the game too. But in this one, well, yeah, this was a game where, you know, for the U.S., it was definitely felt like a loss for them because they had the lead for most part of this game. They were just 10 minutes away from getting a crucial win in that showdown against England, but they couldn't get the deal done. And a lot of that has to do with just a combination of, in the second half, I feel like they played it way too conservatively, and that the substitution and the tactics was absolutely wrong from Greg Berhalter. And then at the cherry on the top, the Walker Zimmerman mistake that he made in the 80th minute, which I know a lot of U.S. fans has been slander on Zimmerman for that mistake, but you know, as much as yes, that mistake by Walker Zimmerman that he made late what was a bad mistake to concede a penalty, he wasn't really the only one that is at fault for the U.S. dropping points in this one against Wales. Though that being said, when you look at the starting 11, we had Matt Turner, Serginho Dest, Walker Zimmerman, Tyler Adams, Anthony Robinson, Yunus Musa, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, Tim Ream, Tim Way, and Josh Sargent. And certainly the starting 11 definitely is not the same one as I thought it would look like when I try to make my prediction in terms of what the starting 11 was going to look. But definitely one that I thought it was going to be decent enough to beat Wales. And at least in the first half, they kind of showed that, because I thought they were on the front foot early. They dominate the possession stats, and they were pinning Wales back. Don almost had an own goal here in the 9th minute, but Hennessy with a cat-like reflex to prevent that one. I mean, I don't know if Hennessy knew a lot about that one, but that was just a cat-like reflex of him preventing it. But then on the ensuing corner, Sargent actually struck the post on the header, and yeah, I mean, the U.S. has got a couple of opportunity of getting the opening goal. I also thought that the referee was being very trigger happy in terms of giving yellow cards, and he already gave 2 early yellow cards to the U.S. Now, it's important to note that because in this tournament, I believe it's only 2 yellow cards, and you can get suspended in the next game, which, again, I feel like, just like, they're basically doing the same thing that CONCACAF does for the World Cup qualifier, because in the octagonal, you get 2 yellow cards, and you get suspended in the next game, and I feel like that is just way too harsh, but it feels like maybe FIFA is doing the same thing here. And again, you know, some of the yellow cards that they had, the one that, oh god, I forgot who of course got the first one. I think it was Anthony Robinson, the one that got the first one. I might be wrong though, but yeah, I thought that the first one, the U.S. player that got got booked. I thought that was kind of a little bit harsh. And refereeing decision, oh boy, let me just say that it was definitely questionable in this game. And that this has also been a big talking point throughout this World Cup too. Not just the fact that there's been just ridiculous amount of extra time that makes every game like a 100-minute marathon, but just also some dodgy refereeing decisions, some questionable VAR decision in this World Cup that has once again kind of made me feel a little bit better about how MLS does VAR. And anytime when I get to say that, you know that the referees and some of the VAR decision in the World Cup are probably not doing very well whatsoever. Though that being said, in the 14th minute, the first shot from the Welsh came as Ampadu blasted high from long range, and I thought the U.S. continued to dominate possession. But again, it just feels like they couldn't create much in the final third due to the fact that they just couldn't show a lot of quality of that. Now, to give Wales credit, they did a good job in terms of defending, at least up to about the 20th minute mark, because I feel like they started to kind of got up against it a little bit. The pressure was starting to get to them. Des blast one into the Wales supporter section, and then again the U.S. I thought the U.S. was doing a good job in terms of the winning the ball high up the pitch, and Wales, they were showing some cracks in the defensive front, and that I just had a sense that a goal could potentially be coming for the U.S., and indeed that was going to be the case, because after I mentioned the fact that the possession was almost 60% plus in favor of the U.S., the World Cup this year, they're doing a very interesting stats where they're not just only comparing possession for both of these teams, but also they're comparing possession in terms of in contest, and I have no idea what that actually means, but up to that point the possession was like 57% out of 28% that Wales had, and it was like 18% in contest. So if I would have added that 18% to where the U.S. is at, they were pretty much well above like 70% in terms of the possession stat. But like I said, it looked like the U.S. was knocking on the door for that opening goal, and they do get the opening goal, as in the 36th minute, Timothy Weah would score from Pulisic to give the U.S. a 1-0 lead. Pulisic then had another chance to make it 2-0, but he hits one right to Hennessy. And despite the fact that the shots were only 3-1 in favor of the U.S., it just feels like the Americans was dominating this first half, and that they could have had maybe a chance to make this one 2-0. But we do head to halftime with the score, with the U.S. leading 1-0, which, again, as dominant as the U.S. was in the first half, I kind of was a little bit concerned the fact that it was only 1-0, and I knew that the Welsh was going to be much better in the second half. I think in the first half, the reason why maybe the Welsh was a little bit kind of second best was because of the fact that, this is the first World Cup in like 50 plus year, and the nerves were definitely with those players. But it feels like in the second half, they definitely swallow up their nerves, and, it seems like they definitely show some more fight in the second half, because right off the bat, I thought they started to show more aggressiveness and started to grow into the game, and the U.S. just could not keep possession and win the ball high up the pitch like they did for majority part of the first half. 60 minutes in, I thought the U.S. desperately need a sub, because they not only started to lose control of this game. Well, actually, they didn't just start to lose control. They really lost control of this game, because Wales was starting to really put tons of pressure on that U.S. backline. But I thought the U.S. backline would start to feel that fatigue, and that the nerves will start to kick in from the U.S. That this 1-0 league, it's started to look very, very tedious. In fact, it's not just the fans that are very nervous about this. Even the Fox fleet was very nervous about the fact that the U.S. were only leading 1-0. That it basically decided to stutter and cut out for about 10 seconds. Like, imagine if Wales actually did score the goal doing that stutter. Oh, there's going to be a lot of fans that's going to be up in arms and going to be very mad about that. Not just the fact that they miss a goal, but the fact that they'll never know exactly why it caused the equalizer to be scored for Wales. But fortunately for Fox, and certainly for the U.S., that was not what happened. Though it almost did in the 64th minute, if it wasn't for Turner making an incredible save to rob Davis from point blank header. I mean, that was really the best opportunity that Wales has had. I mean, despite the fact that they were dominating possession, they weren't really creating that much against the US, but they were certainly putting some pressure on, and that was the first time that Turner had to make a big save there. And then Moore heads it wide from the corner in the 65th minute, and I thought the US need to wake up because this is starting to get really nerve-wracking, and that Wales was in full force. Like, they were desperately trying to get the equalizer. They were piling on the pressure on this US back line, and I thought eventually the US did kind of started to get back into this game and that they had some good transitional moments, but again, the final third is costing this team a chance for that second goal. Like, those bad decisions that they made whenever they go into the final third, whether it's misplacing passes or just misplacing crosses coming in, it was really rough seeing this team play. And this is why, again, as much as I know I'll get to the part where a lot of people have blamed Walker Zimmerman as the reason of losing this game. You gotta blame also the attack, and especially that front three with Pulisic in front not doing very well going forward, and even McKennie at times looking a little bit shaky up front too. They just didn't really do it well in terms of finding that killer second goal because of them not doing very well in terms of making those decisions in the final third. Right then hits it way wide from close range the 75th minute before Aronson would hit it wide off the back post from a corner. And then the shithousery really started to begun for the US. And in some way they kind of started to do it in the second half too. They want to show Wales that, we're a CONCACAF team and we're going to introduce something called CONCACAF shithousery, where we're just going to try to waste as much time as possible and going down with a so-called injuries, even though we're basically doing this just to waste some time. Although that didn't quite work out for the US, because in the 80th minute, this is where the infamous moment happened when a penalty was given to Wales after Zimmerman brought down Bale in the box. There was no question that was a penalty. I mean, Zimmerman, I don't know why he decided to dive in like this. Like, it wasn't if Bale was in a good position to strike this. He had his back toward goals, and Zimmerman, I just don't know why he had to basically pound into Bale there and brought him down in the box. But nevertheless, it was a penalty that was given to Wales, and Bale, who won the penalty, he was the one to take it, and he converts it in the 82nd minute to tie the game up at 1 apiece, because you knew Gareth Bale was going to have something to say in this game. I mean, there's a reason why he always scores in the big moment. We saw it with LAFC in that MLS Cup not long ago, and now he's basically doing it against the US again here, and the game was all tied up at 1 apiece. And also, if you're an LAFC fan, I mean, you must be very, very conflicted watching this game. I mean, mostly if you're an LAFC fan and you're rooting for the US, because on one hand you want Bales to do well because he of course came to play for your team, but on the other, he just scored against your team. And I'm also so interested to see why exactly the LAFC Twitter page decided to kind of celebrate the Bale goal too, because I did go on Twitter and see if LAFC decided to maybe tweet out when Bales, of course, scored that goal, and they did. And I'm telling you, there was not a lot of people that were happy about that, and rightfully so, because yes, I get it. He's a member of your team. He's a player on your team, but you shouldn't basically tweet it out when he basically just scored against the national team. And again, it was a big penalty that Bale, of course, scored. I mean, Turner did get a hand toward that, but the power of that strike, Turner just had no chance in terms of saving that one. Though that being said, in the 89th minute, Johnson actually went through on goal, but he struck one right to Turner, and I thought the game really started to become end to end. Well, actually, it wasn't just becoming end to end; it was really end to end for the second half. Like, there was time where this game really started to become a track meet, and that the intensity level of this game was played at a very high level, which is why we also saw a lot of cramps that was going on. Like, in that stoppage time, there was players dropping down like flies because of the way that both of these teams was just cramping because of how high intensity and how high pace the game was playing through. But that being said, both teams was looking to try to get the winner the U.S. was trying to do that, but again, just way too many hopeless crosses for a way to search this late winner that they can get and get the lead back late in this game. And these hopeless crosses is not going to do it. I mean, there's a reason why we don't see a lot of team whenever they basically decide to put in those crosses in. It's usually not going to work well, and that it turns out that was kind of the same case in this one, because there was just so many hopeless crosses, so many times where I'm just like thinking, what's the idea for the US going for on the attack? Are they, because hopeless crosses ain't gonna do it, especially with the way that Wales pretty much was first at the ball. And not to mention, they also have a guy called Kiefer Moore, who is like a 6'5" guy that always is able to hit those one away. So it just makes no sense for the US to just keep hitting those hopeless crosses, and to no one's surprise, they weren't able to find themselves the winning goal and find themselves to get the lead back, as in the end, it ends in a very frustrating 1-1 draw against Wales. And the shots in this one, 6 shots compared to 7 that Wales had, 3 shots on goal compared to 1 that the US had, 4 shots off target compared to 3 that the Welsh had, 1 shot that was blocked for both of these teams, and possession-wise, 59% possession compared to 41% possession that Wales has in this game. And again, looking in the bigger picture for the US, I mean, the mountain just kind of got a little bit steeper decline, because now the next game they play is against England, and knowing the fact that England completely wiped the floor against Iran, I mean, I just don't have a lot of confidence that this team can get it done, and especially with the way how the US play in the second half. Like, boy, if they play like that against England, it could be a demolition job. And that, again, I just go back to the fact that I know a lot of people will blame on Zimmerman for that penalty that he conceded, but really it was just a combination of that, and also the US just decided to be conservative. Greg Berhalter decided to make the wrong substitution. A lot of people were questioning why Gio Reyna never got into this game, even though I know there's reports saying that maybe he got a knock. I don't think so. There has to be more in terms of that. And now, for the US, in that game against England, in case if they lose that game, then they could be facing a must-win situation against Iran. And even though I know, like I said, England completely wiped the floor against Iran, you don't know, even if they, of course, get the win against Iran, is it going to be good enough when England and Wales is going to be facing off in the final match? I mean, again, I know coming into the tournament, I have been a little bit optimistic about this U.S. team, and I'm going to continue to be optimistic because there were some positives, especially from what we saw in the first half, but I just feel like this was a huge missed opportunity, and now it feels like they do have an upper hand, where now in these next 2 games, they have to get at least 3 points out of these next game. I think 3 points at these next 2 games is a minimum if they can make it to the knockout round, and if they don't get that, then there could be a case where it could be an early exit. And if it is a group stage exit, yeah, Greg Berhalter is going to be under a lot of heat after this tournament is over. And just once again, we were going to question the fact that, well, we do have this potential golden generation that is coming for the US, but still, it doesn't really resort to much with them just going to the tournament, and it's basically free and out for them in the group stage. But there you have it. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game? And let me know in the comments below, are you nervous now? If you're a US supporter of the fact that, these next 2 games, are you nervous the fact that they're not going to get the job done and able to move out into the knockout round? Because in some way, they found themselves in this situation before. Remember in 2010 when they only got like 2 points heading into that final game of the season, a must win against Algeria, and they were able to pull out with a win. Well, it feels like they might find themselves in that situation again, but that's if that is going to be the case, because like I said, that game against England, oh boy, that game is gonna be a huge game in a way where, I will say that it will be a bit of a miracle for the US to get 3 points, but if they want to top the group, and if there's even any chances to do so, they have to win that game against England. But we'll see how that game is going to be. But for now, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game and also this review. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.